Welcome to our course, I Can Find It in Microsoft Teams. My name is Sarah, a training specialist here at Microsoft, and today we'll be focusing on how to use Teams to access the content you need when you need it. After today's session, you'll be able to set up your notification preferences, check your status and updates, and find relevant content. So let's get started. When you log into Teams, in the top right corner, you'll see your profile badge. Now, maybe it's your picture or your initials. You can click your profile badge to open a menu. And here's where you can adjust your picture. You can set status updates, notification settings, and more. And we're going to start with our status information. So your online status or presence, it actually can be managed automatically. So Teams knows if your calendar is busy or full, or if you're in a call, it'll set you up as busy, or if your calendar is empty or not on a call, you can be showing as available. And then also your IT admin can sync up your Outlook calendar and sync it up with the Teams calendar. And so your Outlook calendar can also inform Teams as well as your status in your operating system if you're logged into Windows or Linux or Mac, for example. But you can also change it yourself. You can change your status at any time. So for example, you might want to set your status to do not disturb. This would be great when you want to focus on, or you want some time to focus, or you want to present your screen and you don't want notifications to pop up. So we'll change that here. We'll see a notice in here reminding us that we are set up. We have some options to change our settings as a reminder, and we'll see that our status is indicating do not disturb. You can also set a duration. So this will automatically turn your status off for you or reset your status back to the default after a certain amount of time. And then I'm just going to go back here. We can also just reset it ourselves to go back to the default settings. You can also set a status message. Now, this is not the same as an Outlook out of the office message, same concept, but it's not synced up. But this could be something that in Teams you could use to let people know what you're working on or where you're at or when you're back in the office, that kind of information. So what kind of other information you'd like to put in there. And again, you can set a time frame if you'd like to do that as well. All right, so now let's take a closer look at the settings and specifically those notification options. So I went back to that profile badge, opened up settings, and here I'm looking at general privacy notifications. Depending on what app you use to log into Teams and also how your IT admin has configured Teams, the settings that you see may look a little different from my screen here. But I do encourage you to explore those settings next time you log into Teams. And I also encourage you to reach out to your internal support. Learn if there are any best practices for your organization. But what I see here out of the box, general privacy notifications, that's pretty common. The calls option, this means that my IT admin has set up a calling plan, has synced it up with Microsoft Teams and licensed me for it. So now within Teams, I can manage some of those settings. If I were logged in with a desktop, I would see it a little differently. So right now I'm logged in using the Microsoft web app for Teams. But if you're logged in using the desktop app for Teams, you'll have some options for permissions as well as devices. Maybe you want to manage your headset or your webcam. And then if you're logged in using the mobile app for Teams, you're going to have some options for managing that mobile device as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on notifications. Let's start there. And a few things to draw your attention to. First of all, you can set up email. Maybe you want to get email as soon as possible or once a day, get an email synopsis of what's happening. This could be handy if you're brand new to Teams and you're still working out that cadence of checking Teams. Or maybe you're logged into multiple tenants, and so you want to have one place for all that information just funnels in. If you've been using Teams for quite a while and you want to turn this off, this is where you could go to turn off those options for email. You can also set up your sound alerts. Some people like getting alerts, ding, ding, or maybe you don't, you can turn those off. And then for each of your different conversations, your chats, your meetings, your teams and channels, you have some options for setting some notification options in here. So let's go check out chat. And one of the things that we might be wanting to follow would be if people are trying to get our attention. So an app mention is often associated with these activity alerts or action items. And so we could set this up to be banner and feed. Now a banner is those referring to those pop-ups where you'll see these boxes, maybe the bottom right corner. If you're on a Mac, it's going to be the top right corner, but it gives you a message preview of what's happening. If you change it to feed only in feed, then you won't get a pop-up. You won't get a banner pop-up. You'll just see it over on the left side, these red circles. So these are some things that you can make changes to. And I encourage you to come in here and do some exploring on your own and make some changes. And then maybe even every month or once a quarter, do a settings audit and just see if this is exactly what you want, or if you want to maybe switch it up a little bit as well. A quick shout out to calls. If you are using a calling plan, your IT admin has hooked that up on the back end. Some things you may want to do is set up whether calls are going to ring you directly or if they're going to be forwarded. And if they're forwarded, where? To your voicemail, maybe to a different number, to a call group. You might also want to set up your voicemail itself and be your ringtones. You want to set those up as well, so you can make some changes in here. And one other thing I want to point out is in privacy. We talked about the status, specifically the do not disturb status, which is something you might turn on if you want to have some time to focus, or maybe you're presenting. You don't want to have notifications pop up. But there are probably going to be some people in your group that you need to hear from them. You need to give them access regardless. So that's where you can put them in a priority access list, and you can add their name to that list so that they can access you even if you are in a do not disturb status. So let's click on back to settings in here. Okay, so those are some awesome settings, and you can access those again through your profile badge and go to settings and jump in there. Now, once you're using Teams and you start getting all these different activity alerts and these feeds, what do they look like, and how do you respond to them? What are some best practices? So the first thing I want to point out are the red circles. You'll start seeing red circles or red dots if you draw your attention to the far left-hand side of the screen. Then you'll start noticing these red circles. That's telling you that there's new information. Sometimes the circles will have symbols in them. So for example, I see here an app mention. That tells me somebody was trying to mention my name and they're trying to get my attention that way. Or you might see numbers, that would be a count. If you are using more than one version of Teams, more than one tenant of Teams, you'll actually also see in the top right where you have a list of the different team options, you'll see red circles if someone from a different tenant is trying to get your attention. And then in the desktop app, in your taskbar, you'll also see a red circle. So if you have Teams open in the background, you'll see red circles pop up if people are trying to get your attention. I usually have Teams opened in the background all day, so then I can see at a glance if someone's trying to get my attention. And then we also talked about how you can set up your email, you can set up your mobile app, you can set up banners and audio as well. So those are some other ways to get your attention. But let's take a closer look at activities. So the activity is sort of a roll-up of all the different actions that people are trying to get your attention on. So we'll go click on here. And this list is from top down, the most recent activities are at the top. So that's what you're going to see at the very top. Anything that's bold means that you haven't read it yet. It's unread. And then you'll also notice certain symbols that actually tells you what kind of activity is it. Is it a reaction like a thumbs up or I love this? Is it an app mention? Maybe it's something like a call. you can click on any of these items and jump straight away. You can jump straight away into these different items as needed. So that's really handy. You can also at the top use some symbols here to help organize. So this gear icon, whenever you see that, it means settings. And so this is actually just another shortcut that takes us right back to our settings that we saw earlier. And then the funnel, that means filter. So let's filter this. And one of the things that I like to do, so I clicked on the filter, I'm going to click one more time on these three dots, this ellipsis. I like to filter by the app mentions. So each morning or each time you start your day, you may want to filter by app mentions. This could be the activity alerts where people are trying to get your attention. So this could be a way to help you prioritize or help you triage. How am I going to start my day? So you could do something like that. And we can click on the X here to cancel the filter. But there might be some other things you want to filter, maybe by unread messages, by missed calls, etc. All right. And again, let's just try for fun. We'll go to unread messages so we can see that they're all bold here. And you can click on the X as a way to reset it. Or here's a really good tip. Just click on the icon on the far left side, in this case, chat. Anytime you click on one of these icons, it resets your view. So just clicking chat is a fast way to reset your view, clear any filters or sorts or searches that you might have turned on, and go back to your default view that you were looking at. Now, we can set up these activity alerts at a global level. So all of our conversations in chat and meetings in Teams and channels are going to give us a universal options based on what we set up in our settings, in our notifications, right? We went down here. But you can also set this up at a specific level. So for each conversation, you can make some settings. So for example, in a conversation, I could mute that conversation. That's kind of like a do not disturb just for this conversation. Maybe there's a lot of chatter going on and I would be too distracted. I need to be heads down and focused. So I'm going to mute that conversation, not get any alerts for this particular one. And you can always unmute it as well. You can also take any conversation and mark it as unread. You're going to see that bold information shows up. So that's another way to remind you, I need to come back and review this. You can take any item in the conversation and mark it as unread as well. And you'll see that it gives you a blue line of where you need to go back and review. And then, of course, every time, as soon as you come back and refresh your view, it resets it for you. So that's handy. The most important conversations, you should pin them to the top of your list. So I might have a conversation here that I want to pin. That brings it up to the top and makes it easier to find it and track it. And then you can also unpin information so that maybe you're no longer following this item. You can unpin it and it will disappear as it's no longer being used, as it's less relevant. And there's also options where you can hide messages or even leave messages. That could be a meeting or a chat if you don't want to have access. And again, this is all affecting what kind of activity alerts you're getting as well. If we take a closer look at our Teams and channels here, same concept applies to Teams and channels. At a global level, we can go to our settings, our notifications, and we can modify our Teams and channels at a global level. But also at a local level, we can modify them. So the first thing you may want to do is put away some of the teams. You may not need to have immediate access to all that information. This could actually be a little bit overwhelming to log into. So with any of these teams, you can hide them, and that moves it out of the way. It puts it in the back burner. And you can always come back here, click on this ellipsis, more options, and show. Okay, you can always bring them back. You can also organize this list as needed. And then within the team, you have channels. For example, in this Northwest team, I have channels like general, welcome, building, planning, or budget planning it is, building management. A team can have 200 channels. It's designed to give everybody visibility. So you can have all the project stakeholders, they can all have visibility. You can bring lots of work groups over together, kind of cross multiplying, if you will. But it might make it challenging to focus if you are not needing immediate visibility. So one of the things you may want to do is you may want to hide channels. Just put the channels out of the way that you don't need. I've hidden some channels here. And you can always show the channels or access them as needed as well. Noticing the bold, that tells us there's some items that are unread content in there, but I'm not distracted by them because they are hidden. And then also for a particular channel, you can manage the channel notifications. So you can make them more or less strict based on the channel, based on what you have set up globally. If it's a channel that is really important to you, maybe you have some files in here, maybe you have some apps that you need to have access to, you can pin that channel to the top of your list, and then it makes it easier for you to find that information. You can also unpin channels. That's also really handy as well. So you can customize that. And then the channels themselves, there's one other layer. So if we go deeper, we have our list of conversations, these different posts that are all stored here in the post tab. These are different threaded conversations. And when we select a conversation, we have some options for making our notifications more or less strict. So right now I'm following this channel. I could turn off notifications for this specific conversation. That again is going to mute it for the activity for this conversation. And then there's also this idea of pin. And pin in this case is actually for the entire team. So let's just try it. Let's click on this pin. And it's going to pin it for everyone who has access to this channel. That's essentially people in this team. And there's a little pin icon. And it shows up here in the top right corner. There's a little eyeball, eye symbol where you can see things that are pinned. So it helps us find things, especially handy if there's a lot of activity and this might flow down. So it's in a way, it's a way to bookmark this content. And of course, guess what? You can hover and you can unpin as well. So you can turn that off if needed too. So all this activity and content in Microsoft Teams is searchable, and we can find conversations, files, and information about people. So let's take a closer look at the search options that help us find what we need when we need it. At the top of your screen, there's a search bar here, and we could type in a keyword, for example, type in forecast. And before I even press enter, Teams is giving me some recommendations based on what I've typed in. So these are meetings or conversations that have that keyword. Now I'll press enter here. And now we'll see on the left-hand side a list of results that have that keyword in it. And I can click on any of these items here and it'll take me right to that conversation as well. Now you can also add multiple words. Let's try forecast trends. And that's going to change our search just a little bit. All right, we're going to change it. I'm noticing that some of these items have the word trends or forecast, but not necessarily the phrase, the exact phrase, forecast trends. So if you want an exact phrase, put it inside, wrap it inside these quotation marks. Put that in there, and we'll press enter again. We'll reset and now we're looking specifically for forecast trends. So you can search for a word or words or a phrase within inside of quotation marks. You could also use some other search filters like an asterisk or something like that. But look here at the top, there's some options for filtering. So I'm here right now, my messages, and I could narrow this down to say from whom. Maybe I want to see only the items that Adele sent. That's my alter ego, by the way, so that I sent as Adele. Or maybe I want to focus just on the chat, or just in the channels, teams and channels. Maybe you want to search for a specific date range, or has an attachment, or where there are some @ mentions. So you can apply these filters. And again, if you see an X in there, anytime you see an X, it means you can click on that to reset. But remember, you can also just click the chat icon or the Teams and channel icon, and that'll reset it as well. Now, here's a really good search shortcut. This is a keyboard shortcut, and if you're only going to learn one keyboard shortcut in Teams, this is the one that you're going to want to learn, okay? And what you do is you click on a conversation. It could be a chat, it could be a meeting, it could be a team and channel, and you can search just that conversation. So I have a communications group, and I'm looking for the feedback. We wrote something about feedback. So I click on comms, and then here's the keyboard shortcut, Control F. Control F, or on a Mac, it'd be Command F. And it's going to open up the find option, and then specifically the conversation that you're in, the one-on-one chat, the group chat, the meeting. And then I can type in my keyword like feedback, for example. So I can go find that. Looks good. And then it takes me right to where I was looking. Okay. I'm just going to click on chat one more time to reset that. Let's say I went to Ruby Slippers here, and then I tried Control F. Now I'm searching Ruby Slippers. So the Control F is a shortcut that lets you filter a specific conversation, find it within the specific conversation. And it works with meetings. You can do that with meetings. And it also works with, let's go here to Teams and Channels. It also works with a team and channel. If I do a Control F, and it's going to search that specific channel as well. Okay, let's just reset that. Something else that you might do is you might type in the name of a person. So as I type in the name of Grady, I'm starting to see conversations where Grady is involved, right? So these could be one-on-one, or these could be group conversations that include Grady. And if we press enter, we're going to see more results that have the reference Grady. And again, we can use the from and the type and the filters, right? We can use that way to help us narrow that search down. This is also an option where I might want to do a people search. Maybe I have more than one Grady in my network, my organization. Or you could do a search for files. Just FYI, this particular search is searching just your Teams and Channels files. It's not going to be searching your chat. But if you went over to message, you could search based on your chat if you wanted to do that. One other thing about files, I'm going to try one here. This is a nice little tip and trick. In your search box, in fact, let me just show you how I got there again. Okay, so in my search box, you might notice when you click on it, it says you can type the / for a list of commands. So I'm going to type the /, and there's a list of options. There's one here called files, and this is another way to find recent files. It's just a quick shortcut. Commands are essentially shortcuts for common activities that we do in Teams. So it just helps us to do these right through the top box there. And then it's going to show me a list of files that I've been working on recently. So I could open up any of these files, or you could type in a keyword if you're looking for a specific file. You could type that in, see if you can find it that way. But some of these items are located in a chat. Some of them are located in a team and channel. And that's the big idea. All right. Now also, let's go back to this list of commands. Oh, here's the find. This is that Control F. This is just kind of the command way of doing it, right? There are some really great commands in here. In fact, earlier in our session, we talked about changing your status. Here's where you can change your status. Another way, just using commands to available, away, be right back, do not disturb, right there. This is also a place where you could go to follow up on people, connect more with people, especially people inside your network. So the activity command is a really great way to find out how you're collaborating with people. Oh, I know, Grady, you and I were working on this project, and we were working on something just the other day. What was it? The activity can help us find that. In fact, let's try this one, activity. And then we'll try Grady. And it's going to give us the activity that we share in common in our teams and channels. And so that can help me jump right in and maybe find a file or a conversation. Now, if I try this with Jordan, I have not done a lot of work with Jordan recently. So let's try this, Jordan. Nothing's there. So another thing you may want to do if you're trying to connect with people is you may want to use the org command. This is a way to find out more about people you work with inside your organization. And this could be handy. Maybe I will be working with Jordan and we're about to start working together. And I'd like to know more about Jordan so that when we meet, I have some information can help me. And one more I want to show you that's pretty awesome. This is the Who. This is also an app or a bot. You can call it a bot. Bots are basically an application that does stuff for you. But this is a great way to network and find out more about people. So maybe I want to find out who works with Jordan, or maybe I want to ask a question like, who knows about SharePoint, or who knows about Microsoft Teams? So with Who, you can type a question and maybe I could say something like, who is Jordan? And then let's see what it pops up in there. It gives us, takes us in, it gives us some information, and then says, hey, are there questions that you would like to know about? So there's some really great ways to interact. And one of the cool things is that this search feature, the commands, just opens your eyes to more of those common tasks. Like, oh, wow, great ways to help us stay engaged and follow our activity and follow up on folks. Teams is definitely an activity-driven product. Now, one last thing, we're going to go to help. And this is a great hidden gem, is that you can learn more about Teams by using Teams. And if we go to topics, we're going to go to a landing page of different topics. There may be something on this page that catches your eye and you want to go deeper and explore. As I'm scrolling through, I saw notifications and settings. That's kind of relevant to what we were talking about. Or you can type in a keyword. So let's type in activity. We talked about activity feed. Let's see if anything pops up. Hey, ta-da. And so this is another way where we can continue learning that process. The best way to learn Teams is to use Teams. And so I want to give you a couple of go-do activities to help you continue learning. So the first one would be, start today, go ahead and review your profile settings. Maybe even do a profile audit, settings audit, once or twice a quarter or something like that. Another thing to do would be update your availability, your status message. Maybe the next 3 days in a row, check your activity feed. And then the other thing is explore those search tools, see how that helps you find relevant files, conversations, helps you follow people as well. So thank you for viewing our training. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.